Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Wild Cabin Podcast. I got a very interesting topic today that I feel like is very close to my heart, and I don't think a lot of people know what it is. I feel like it depends where you're living at in the country or out of country or anything in between. But I want to talk about something near and dear to my heart, literally. And I want to talk about Lyme disease. Oh, Joe, that sounds scary. What is it? Basically, long story short, is it's a tick bite. Not a lot of people know who basically has it and what it really does to your body. And this is just some examples. Kelly Osbourne had it. George Bush had it. Daryl Hall had it from Hall & Oates. What a lovely band. And so many others, included Alec Baldwin as well, that had a Lyme disease foundation that he opened up because it affected him very badly. And of course, probably the face of Lyme disease, and I mean this in a very nice way, is Avril Lavigne. She just launched a new album, and I feel like she may have anger issues with love. But besides that, and lastly, I have Lyme disease. It sucks. Long story short, is it seriously sucks. Especially if you don't catch it right away. Now, it affects different people, and it affects them differently. And unfortunately, I got mine while I was raking leaves in New Jersey without gloves. I was very young, and my parents didn't really think about it, short sleeves, short shorts, booty shorts, obviously. Everybody needs to see that. But that is when they suspect when I got bit by a tick. And I'm not gonna say ruined my life, but it affected my life years on, basically, and I still have the effects of it. And some days it's just day to day, but of course during the winter time, that's personally when it affects my body the worst. Now, it's not a common thing, if majority of the things happen where, especially when you're young, you may feel ill or anything, then you go to the doctor, they find the bite, and they get it. One of the most common places where not a lot of people find it is the head, is where, because you have hair, they dig through your hair and then they bite you. That is and the doctors don't think of shaving the head because of swelling and everything, but you gotta catch it sort of almost immediately. It can leave a rash and often a bullhead pattern. It's sort of like when you have like a zit and it has a white head, it's just like that. And personally, I never had flu-like symptoms. I never was coughing. I didn't, maybe I threw up a few times, but it wasn't normal as a kid, but I didn't think about it. And the long-term effects are it could affect your heart. I have very bad arrhythmia at times, and here's the kicker. Arizona is one of those states where ticks don't exist because it's just too hot and they die out. So with that being said, the doctors don't study Lyme disease at all. So when I moved here, they knew nothing. They were just like, here's just a lot of vitamins or drugs to make you feel better. And that really wasn't the problem. It was just like, okay, he's just sick or whatever. So I have arrhythmia. I have very bad joint pain, and unfortunately still during snow time and coldness, even though I love the cold, I seriously love the cold, is my whole body could shut down. Now, what I mean by that is the coldness mixed with the Lyme disease is it just affects my body and I just don't want to get up. It's a real big problem because it's sort of, especially on top of that with basically like depression where you don't want to really leave your bed but you're in too much pain to get up to fight depression. It sucks. I know that firsthand. And my body has shut down before completely, and it just sucks. You know, I've said that before. Be like, okay, what could you really do for Lyme disease? Personally, I don't remember anything. Simply because, funny enough, I am allergic to penicillin and moxicillin. And that is sort of one of the biggest drugs that you could take to help you. And since I'm allergic, like, they obviously, you don't want to really take that risk. And my lungs will just collapse, swell up basically if I just take penicillin or moxicillin. And a lot of drugs that help, I don't want to say cure Lyme disease because it's one of those diseases that virtually stays in your bloodstream and it's just horrible. So there's, for me, there, you could just basically, you know, take the drugs and go over there. But for me, it was just like, just lay in bed on what I remember, keep the TV on 24/7, and that's virtually about it. Because you get a lot of misconceptions where you're just being lazy, and that's the funny thing. And personally, if you have Lyme disease, you sort of know if it's happening or not. And that's sort of the crappy thing, where if people don't know that you have Lyme disease, they're just really gonna consider you lazy, and that's really not what I'm about. But why am I really doing this episode? Simply because I want more ears on the topic. Weirdly enough, as I basically said before, not a lot of people know about it. I mean, there's only 200,000 cases per year, and most of them gets cured. And there's only a certain percentage that, like myself and the celebrities that are helping a good cause, that there's not sort of really a cure in a way, where I'm not gonna say like this is big, like this is a big problem, but there is something that you could always do if you are feeling fatigued and everything. But it's only 200,000 versus 7 billion people in the world. It could be a problem, and like I said before, it could impact so many things in your body, from your brain to the nervous system, and especially your joints like myself, and your heart. And I didn't even know it could affect those major heart problems as well. And the weird thing is, it doesn't spread to other people. You know, if you have a tick bite, it can't go to another person unless if it wants to detach you by yourself. That is sort of getting the problem, where if you figure it out very, very early on, which most cases are, is you get healed with antibiotics. And unfortunately with myself, especially since I'm allergic to the main antibodies drugs at the time, that we really didn't have a lot of things to sort of cure it. And there's certain trigger points as well, and they could really, it could happen anywhere. You know, the biggest way to virtually avoid ticks, in my experience and what I've been told, is just very hot places. I mean, so virtually just stay in a hot tub all your life, and you'll never get hit. And I have heard that funny enough, flare-ups can happen with tick bites. And as I've said with my coldness, that is so far the biggest trigger that I have. But it also can affect emotional and physical stress as well, which I did not know. I was told that by doctors and one other person that has it as well. And it blew my mind that this is one thing that could just flare up almost basically. It's like, it's sort of like a wall where, let's say one bad thing happened and boom, you know, you fell out of a helicopter. Sure, let's use that as an example. Why not? And you land in the ocean, you're fine, you get rescued, but the emotional stress right there can inflict more damage inside you than anything else. Now, it's a very big possibility when I had my car accident. That's why some swelling and some stress has inflicted the tick bite. Where, like I said, personally, I'd never really thought about it. I'm like, okay, hey, you know, my right knee shot because of the car accident. I never really blamed it on the tick bite. And that's really what you have to put it up to, where if you have it, simply you gotta understand what is it affecting. You know, it could affect your brain, it could affect your lungs, and this is the main thing where you gotta be safe. Because unfortunately, in a weird way, I was gonna say I was a little bit too late to catch it. Like I said, I was young. We didn't know at the time. Nobody even thought about it. And then when years down the road happened, I basically, how to put it is, let's say your body inside is wearing like a 50-pound weight vest and you just collapse. That's my feeling via on your knees, feet, arms, and you just, if you move, it is just aching pain that I'm not going to say is indescribable, but the indescribable pain is basically laying in bed and then all of a sudden everything hurts. Everything just hurts and you don't want to move. Now, there could be people listening to it that has that as well. And, you know, you've never been diagnosed with Lyme disease, and then certain depressions and everything could happen. And you gotta see a doctor most regularly, because in my experience, I don't go to doctors. I really don't. I don't go to dentists. I'm sort of one of those people where if I'm hurt, then I go to the doctor, and that's sort of when it's way too late. And I hate the question, do you have a primary care doctor? I'm like, no, you're my primary care, don't you know? One of the best stories to lighten this mood up is when I applied for a primary care doctor, my insurance was so dumb. I'm like, yeah, just pick whatever you want. Just pick whatever you want. They gave me a gynecologist. Be like, and I laughed my ass off. I couldn't freaking believe it. And the only way I found out is when I went in to see the doctor, because I'm like, okay, you know, I need a checkup. And oh my god, it was the funniest thing that I could think of in recent years, because I wasn't embarrassed by any means. I'm like, yeah, the insurance screwed up, and I still laugh about it to this day, because I'm just like, really? I tell you to pick any doctor, any physical care doctor, and you give me a gynecologist. Yeah. And if you don't know what a gyno is, look it up, because that is not for a male. It was so funny. But what I want, like I said, what I want you guys to know, and girls and everybody in between listening to this podcast, is get checked up regularly. And as silly as that sounds, and me not knowing until years later that I've had Lyme disease, and the shitty part is when they say, hey, you know, this is sort of going to be stuck with you, it's gonna affect you throughout your life. It sucks. And also, if you're curious, if you have kids and you have Lyme disease, it does not spread that way. It's not genetic or anything. It's just be safe than sorry. But the main thing is take care of yourself, because if you don't, nobody else will. And of course, I want everybody to be happy and healthy, and simple as that. Now, if you are struggling with any mental illness, physical issues, I do wish you the most, because with somebody that has been there through many times, is one of my sayings is I've been through hell and back, and it's ultimately I'll probably be back in hell mentally one day. And that it's just another journey that we all have to go on in different experience. And I'm very happy that I've been through hell and back, because I don't think I really would have become the man that I am. And a lot of it wasn't in my own fruition, where I didn't cause it, somebody else did, and I got punished for it in one way or another, where everything makes us stronger than what we were the day before. Everything's a new day, and that's how we got to look about it. And lastly, before we end this episode, is I am sharing this via my own personal experience, not for people to be like, oh, you have Lyme disease or anything. No, that is not who I am. It affects me. It virtually comes and goes, where it does affect me. It simply does affect me, and that's what I have really banished. Basically, I'm like, I it's not like I want to get it off my chest, but it's something that people need to know about. I mean, look at Avril Lavigne, just for the biggest example, the face of Lyme disease, and I mean that in the best way possible. Her hit song Head Above Water, which we all know, was about her illness, struggling with Lyme disease, and she was bedridden for 2 years. I can't say I've been bedridden for 2 years, probably about 6 months. 6 months to probably about a year. And it's a struggle. It really is. And heaven forbid, I hope I don't have to, like, that happens to me again. And we virtually will never know until it happens again. But sincerely, from me to you, please stay safe. Check up with your doctor, and you know you're not alone. There's always forums to help you with your struggles in life. So if you need help, there are plenty of ways, and I'm always here to listen and reply to all the emails that you send. But thank you all for listening. I know this has been an obscure episode, but I hope you did enjoy it. This has been Joe Wild. I hope you're happy, because you made me happy. Take care, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.